fans are putting signatures on a petition to pull John Jones from the fight against Tom Aspinall. They want him to strip. UFC should be stripping John Jones' belt and giving it to Tom Aspinall. That's what fucking fans want. Tom actually will fight anybody other than John Jones, even John Jones, or any heavyweight in the world for the title. He wants the title. He doesn't want a John Jones fight. He really wants a title. So now John Jones, in the other hand, jerking off gay friends in a pool full of Russian dudes. And he's jerking off Russian dudes. And that's fucking gay. Of course John Jones is gay. He admitted he's gay. So there's no way he can say, oh, I'm a man. Oh, you're not. You're a gay. If he says something like that, maybe you can counter it with that. But who gives a fuck? If John Jones is gay, who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck. I will not go out there and say, oh, why John Jones will gay? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about John Jones. If he decides tomorrow, I want to be recognized as cockroach, I would say, who gives a fuck? If you want to be recognized as cockroach, change your name to cockroach. And that's it. You're a cockroach now. Cockroach doesn't do that, but it's okay. So, that's what it is. If he's gay, he's gay. Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck about that. So, what I give a fuck about is Tom Aspinall versus John Jones. The fight that should happen. Everybody wants that fight. But the thing is, if John Jones doesn't want to fight, just fucking strip. Dana White, go out there and strip the belt of John Jones. And that's it. And fuck it. And Tom Aspinall should be the champion of UFC heavyweight division. Then, when you see Islam Makhachev situation where they stripped Islam Makhachev because they wanted Ilya versus Charles fight, or Islam versus Ilya fight, but Islam disagreed. That's why he went up to 170 and stripped the belt. He got stripped the belt, and that's kind of, unfair for a guy who defended his belt 4 times, and he also defended his belt earlier this year. And there is a guy like John Jones who fights once or 2 years, and he have the belt. It is not fair. Islam should have got the shot at 170 belt to become double champ, and he could have become double champ simultaneously. But UFC doesn't want it. UFC know that if they allow Islam to keep the lightweight belt when he wins the 170 belt, he will retire. Of course he will retire. Of course Islam Makhachev gonna retire if he somehow wins the fight against JDM. So that's why UFC stripped it, because he knows, Dana White knows these Dagestanis. If the call comes from the mother, they're gonna just say, oh, I'm retiring. My mother said you to stop fighting, never fight again. And they're gonna stop. Oh, I don't want to fight. My mother said I will never cross the line. I'd rather drew. So that's it. That's it for me. That's what Khabib did. That's what Islam gonna do. And he knows it. That's why he stripped the belt. Dana is a bit genius. When it comes to benefit to the promotion, he will do anything. So I think he will strip the John Jones if he doesn't agree to fight Tom Aspinall, because Dana is a businessman. End of the day, he doesn't give a fuck about you. He just gives a fuck about business. So that's what it is. I think he will strip the belt soon if John Jones doesn't agree to fight Tom Aspinall, and that's what it is. And all the comments on Instagram is strip John Jones, strip John Jones, strip John Jones. Everybody's fucked up. Everybody's like, I don't want to see John Jones as a champion. I want him to be stripped. Everybody's pissed off. Everybody's pissed off. Nobody cares about John Jones anymore, and they want him to go on. And the only reason John Jones is relevant is because Tom Aspinall exists. That's why. So that's what the thing is all about John Jones, and it is what it is. And I don't want to talk about these UFC fighters, but I don't really interest. It doesn't really interest me to talk about these fighters because, end of the day, you're talking about someone else who you don't know. So, in an online platform, it doesn't seem well, but I have to do it because I have no other options.